Hi, Deacon Jim here again with you for our weekly reflection for Tuesday. Yesterday was the Feast of St. Lawrence on August 10th, so I thought I would talk a little bit about St. Lawrence today. He was a deacon back in the year 250 AD, and he was a deacon under Pope Sixtus II. And at that time, the Romans were persecuting the Christians pretty heavily. So what happened right about that time was that Pope Sixtus and 4 deacons were martyred by the Romans. So St. Lawrence worked for this pope, and he was kind of in custody of all the property and the money for the pope and the church. Well, the prefect of Rome came to St. Lawrence then and asked him for all the money and all the riches to be turned over to the Roman Empire. So what St. Lawrence did is he went and he sold everything he had, turned it into money, and he gave it all to the poor and the marginalized in Rome back then. So then the prefect wanted all the money. So what he did was he brought all the poor, the lame, and the blind into the prefect of Rome and said, "This is the true treasure of the Catholic Church." And obviously the prefect was not happy, and Lawrence was martyred quite quickly right after that. So he died for his faith in doing what was right and serving the people of God. As you know, we have a St. Lawrence ministry here at St. Margaret. It started a couple years ago, and we named it after this saint because of how he stood up for his faith and his outreach to the poor. Nina Heck is our director of outreach, and she handles this ministry with a number of parishioners who participate in it. As you know, we have a building over on McCormick Street, right behind the parish, where this operation takes place. And in that building, we meet with people who are in need. We meet with the poor, the hungry, the marginalized of Harford County, who are in need of help. So we directly help them with aid for rent, maybe their utilities are being turned off, maybe they do not have enough food, they need some money for medicine. So we try to help them and to give them many resources for that. All of this, as you may not know, it comes through the poor box. So that money that's dropped in there every week, a portion of that goes to this St. Lawrence ministry. So that money is going directly to help the poor of Harford County. So I'd just like to thank all those who are involved in this ministry, and also all of you who put money in the poor box each week. It does make a difference. Since Lawrence was a deacon, I thought we would talk about deacons for a moment, if that's okay. We have 6 deacons in our parish, so all of us were ordained as deacons down at the cathedral at one time or another, by the bishop laying his hands on our heads. So we all received holy orders at that time, the sacrament of holy orders. We also have 4 men in training right now who will be ordained in 2, 3, 4 years from now. Most of the duties that you see us doing are around the altar. I think that's where you see the deacons the most. You see us at Mass. So our prime duty is to serve at the table of the Lord and to help the priest with the Mass. We usually preach once a weekend on Saturday or Sunday. You'll see us presiding at baptisms, at marriages. We'll preside at funerals. If there's no Mass, the funeral may be at the funeral home or maybe at the cemetery site, and we would be the presider there. We also handle novenas and stations and other liturgical events. But there's 2 sides to what we do besides the liturgical part. There's the service side of our diaconate. So most of us are involved in other areas. We may help out at the prison with the inmates up there. We may do communion services at nursing homes in Harford County. Maybe we help in the youth programs. Maybe we're involved in the school, teaching the children about their religion. Some of us go to the hospital and work with patients and the sick there. Communion calls to those at their homes. We'll take communion to them. We'll work with the developmentally disabled program and help those in that program. Also, we may be at the food shelters. We may work in adult ed. So it could be anywhere that we do some of this service work. So we're called to be at the table of the Lord and also to minister to God's people, out in the world. A little bit about my own call. I've been a deacon for 17 years now. Maybe some 20 plus years ago, I was driving home from work, and I just had this prompting inside of me, and I kept hearing, why don't you go look at the diaconate or becoming a deacon? And I really had never thought about it before that, just because of our life being so busy with our children, 4 children. They were getting a little older now, so all of a sudden this prompting started to come in. So I got home and I said something to my wife Marcy about it. I said, I've had this prompting to maybe look at the diaconate. And she looked at me and said, I had the same prompting and feelings this day also, separate from me. And we had never talked about this before in our lives. We've known deacons and I'm friends with some of them at that time, but never really thought about being a deacon. So we started the path and went through the program, and the rest is history, as they say. When I think about the diaconate and maybe these 20 years, think about what's the significant thing. It's hard to pick one item or one event or one thing out, but I think in general, what I think about is that I've been allowed to walk with people, to walk with you in your faith journey. I've been allowed to watch your faith operate in good times, fun times, and some very, very sad times. But you've allowed the deacons to be part of your life. So we've been able to see your faith. And I can't tell you what that's really done, for me and for the rest of the deacons. It's helped us with our own faith. It's absolutely humbling to have done this, and it's such a great, great privilege that we all honor doing this. So thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your life and to walk along the path of faith with you. The word diaconate, the word deacon, it does mean to serve. So deacons are actually called to serve. We're all called to serve, though. That's not just limited to us or to the priests. It's all of us. By our baptisms, we're called to serve others. So today, as we remember St. Lawrence, that great saint who gave his life for his faith and for the poor and the marginalized, maybe we think a little bit today about, who should I go out and help today? Who is there that I should serve today? And we do it. So I'd like to thank you all for being with me today, for spending a few minutes with me, and God bless, and please stay safe during these times.